Hey there, it's Jen from empathicmastery.com, and to come be part of the Empathic Mastery Circle, which is my free Facebook group where you can get all kinds of support, including free masterclasses every single month. Come on over to empathicmastery.com/masterclass. So I wanted to jump on really briefly today to one tell you about this amazing class that or set of ceremonies that I did on Monday and Tuesday, because you've probably heard about the 222 portal that happened on Tuesday, or as some people affectionately like to refer to it, Tuesday, like TWOS day. And the thing about this particular powerful time is that we, that this was a time that is very a rare occurrence. There's an incredible amount of synchronicity. But not only was this powerful in terms of numerology, like there was a great deal of power in terms of numerology, it was also a very powerful time astrologically. And one of the things that has been going on is that our nation, the United States, is experiencing its Pluto return. Now, if you're familiar with astrology or not familiar with astrology, you've maybe heard about what's called a Saturn return. And this is something that most human beings are going to go, oh my God, I'm going through my Saturn return. And what a return is in an astrological chart is basically the time when a planet is in the exact same sign and the exact same degree that it was when you were born. So, like for example, it takes Saturn 28, like around 27, 28 years to circle, to come back to exactly where it was at the moment that you were born. And when we come back into that Saturn return, often a lot of things shift for us. It's a time where we question ourselves, we question the structure of our lives, we look at a lot of different things, and we transform it. Now, Pluto is a substantially slower moving celestial body than than a lot of these closer planets. And so as a result, it takes 242 years to actually get back to where it was. I think it's 242. I'd have to do the math. So what it means is that basically on Monday, Pluto was in the exact same position that it was in, and it's in the exact same zodiac, it's in the exact same astrological configuration that it was in on July 4th, 1776. And if which was Independence Day in the United States, and it's considered the birthday of the United States. It was also a time where a great deal of intense things happened. Like it was a time of great revolution. It was a time of great transformation and change. Look where we are now, in a time of great transformation and change, in a time of great revolution. Now, the thing about the 222 portal was that it was about the collapsing of duality and the moving away from binary thinking, either or. You can have either this or you can have that, to moving to alignment with divine possibility and moving to an idea of really seeing the world from the standpoint of both and as opposed to either or. So I don't think there's no coincidence that we went through the 222 portal on Tuesday, and then late last night, basically, Putin sent troops and missiles into the Ukraine and started a war. Now, in the old paradigm, the way that we would have looked at this is that we would have looked at it as that experience, like basically sort of canceling out all of the good and all of the possibilities that were arising from moving through the 222 portal. But within the newer way of looking at it, when we start to collapse the idea of duality and opposition and contrast, and where fear doesn't have to cancel out faith, we can start looking at this as, well, even though I totally don't understand this, even though this is concerning, it is heartbreaking, it is scary. I'm open to the possibility that this is leading us to something, that this is ultimately leading us in the right direction, that this is ultimately leading us towards our evolution as a species. And what I have really been feeling about this is that right now, more than ever, it is imperative that we work on regulating our own nervous systems. It is easy, fear is contagious and dysregulation is contagious. And when we have histories in ourselves, which we might have histories from our own lifetime, our own incarnation. Maybe we've had traumatic experiences that happened in the past. Maybe we, have witnessed traumatic experiences that have happened to other people, and we're carrying, for lack of a better word, wounds and baggage from this lifetime. But then there's also other layers of distress and wounding that we can be carrying. We can be carrying the empathic distress that we pick up from other people and we take on. We can be carrying our karmic distress and wounds, the stuff that are the triggers from previous lives, as well as we can be carrying ancestral wounds that go back for generations upon generations upon generations. And I've been having a lot of conversations with my students and my clients lately about what a potent time we are living in, but that also, the thing is that it's not that suddenly all of this violence and all of these challenges and all of this difficult stuff is just erupting out of the blue. What I believe is happening, and talking with other people who also agree with me about this, so I'm not the only person coming up with this idea, but what I believe is happening is that we have been suppressing trauma, and we have been suppressing distress, and we have been suppressing wounds and harm that we've been causing each other as a species for thousands of years. We've been compartmentalizing it, we've been stuffing it down, we've been ignoring it, we've been denying it, we've been sort of trying not to go into it. And basically, we've had these infections that have been kind of underneath the surface, that have been festering and kind of lurking down below. And at this point in time, these sometimes many thousand-year-old infections are rising up to the surface and are coming up to be healed. And so as a result, you can see this sort of all of these kind of weird, violent outbursts and, fascism that's kind of popping up like mushrooms around the planet. What if this is not some random thing? What if this is a systemic issue that is coming up to the surface and asking to be healed? And what if we are being given this incredible invitation as a species to heal our distress? Now, the thing is that there are certainly people who are in the world who have influence, who have resources, who have power, and who can actually go and make a substantial difference. But many of us, what we have the power to do is smaller than that. We have the power to get on the phone and call our congressmen and express our desire for certain things. We have the power to donate little amounts of money or sometimes larger amounts of money to organizations, causes for refugees, for giving people support, in these different ways. But what I personally believe, I believe with my absolute heart of hearts, that we all have the capacity to do, and I believe this is the thing that is going to change the planet faster than anything else and will actually allow us to heal as a species. It's to deal with our own fear. It's to deal with our own trauma, and it is to deal with the stuff that is that we are reacting to, that we are getting triggered about. And now, if you are in a situation where you are barely making ends meet and you're just trying to figure out where your next meal is coming from, then dealing with your trauma is probably not the first thing on your plate. Like, it's more about like finding support, finding help, hopefully finding some people who, like finding out what resources are available and getting that support. But that is not, especially here in the United States, many of us are not in that position. Many of us are actually in a position where we do have some space, where we do have a roof over our head, where we do know where our next meal is coming from. We do know, like, that we've got a certain amount of financial stability, at least just for today, assuming that everything doesn't go completely cattywampus. But even then, like right here, right now, we're okay. And even no matter what happens, even with the future, I will still say that what I sincerely, genuinely, wholeheartedly believe is that when we start dealing with and de-escalating our reactivity, and we start learning how to regulate our nervous system and calm and soothe our nervous system, this has a cumulative effect. This is an effect that creates resonance on the planet. And so right now, as this stuff is happening, that is very triggering. It can be very scary to witness, basically, like somebody whose agenda is to destroy democracy and to just usurp a country. That's scary. And I understand, and for any of you who are watching this who are not really paying attention to current events, you may want, I'm not going to talk a lot more about the current event side of it. I apologize for if that was like, oh, fuck, I had no idea that was going on. Excuse my language. But the thing is that right now, in light of what is going on in the world, if anything, this is even more of an invitation for us to learn how to calm and soothe our nervous system, to allow and to really, really take up the responsibility of addressing and healing our personal triggers and traumas and our personal wounds, as well as starting to go back into our ancestral lines and dealing with the impact in our DNA that's still affecting us to this day, that can be addressed and shifted and healed. And I personally believe that this is the key. This is the key to changing the world. Because when we can address and deal with our trauma, when we can address and deal with our triggers, when we can calm our nervous systems down and we can become anchors for peace, we can become anchors for love, we can become anchors for healing, we can become vessels for new possibilities, we are able to act in a whole new way. We are able to offer possibility to the world. And we are also able to set boundaries and set limits, and we are able to say no to things that we would have otherwise just acquiesced to and allowed to happen. And as more and more people start sticking up for themselves, as more and more people start regulating their nervous systems and able to calmly, firmly just say, no, I'm not going to do that for you. Or no, I'm not, like you shall not pass. Like where we can draw the line. Then these bullies that are trying to take over right now and are behaving absolutely horribly, it's like as more and more critical mass shifts our own inner behavior and we keep cleaning up our side of the street, the more peace, the more love, the more radiance that we generate, the less room there is for these infections to keep erupting. And there's, even if you think about the idea of germ theory, there's two sort of like, there's germ theory and there's terrain theory. Now, I personally believe there's kind of a combination of the two, that they don't have to cancel each other out. But essentially, germ theory is the idea that there's this bad thing that's coming along, and if you just happen to be in the middle anywhere, it's just going to come along, germ, virus, whatever, it's just going to come along and whack you upside the head, and there's nothing you can do about it except take antibiotics. Terrain theory is the idea that when we take care of ourselves, when we create an inhospitable, a thriving, healthy ecosystem that is inhospitable, these kinds of infections, whether we're talking political infection, spiritual infection, or physical infection, physical illness in our body, they don't have the ability to take purchase. Or in the case of something brand spanking new and unexpected, like the COVID viruses, it may suck. You might lose, like you may go through experiencing it, but it doesn't necessarily have the ability to cause the same level of harm as it would if your terrain was compromised. And this you can see even in the information coming from the CDC and information out there that's basically saying that many of the people who were really sick with COVID, who have succumbed and died from it, are the people who have what are called comorbidities. What that means is that they were already experiencing illness and their bodies were in a more vulnerable situation than than situations where the terrain is good. Now, this is a metaphor for not just our bodies and ourselves. This is a metaphor for the whole planet. That the more love we generate, that the more grace we generate, and the more firm self-protective boundaries that we generate, the less space there is for the crazy uprisings of violence and opportunism that is going on right now. So this is stuff that I am really looking at, like, okay, here we are in the middle of a wild time. How are we going to cultivate more grace? How are we going to cultivate more peace? How are we going to find our way through this when the world is just so wild? So I wanted to tell you about some classes that I actually, and classes, ceremony, it was kind of like, I ran two groups. Like I said, Monday I ran a group to prepare us for the 222 portal. And that particular group that happened over in the Empathic Mastery group, that you can, like I said, you can join us by coming on over to empathicmastery.com/masterclass. And full disclosure, that is basically a link that will take you to my list so that you will be included in all of the updates, all the news. You'll get emails, hopefully consistently, but like letting you know when the next masterclass is happening and stuff like that. But when you come over and you join the Empathic Mastery group, what happens over there is that I lead masterclasses on every full moon. I lead a new masterclass. Last month we did, or just like the other week, actually it was like a week ago. It's amazing. I can't even believe how fast time is moving. But a week ago, we did EFT for empaths, talking about how to use EFT for self-soothing, how to find language, how to work with it, how to navigate it. EFT, if you're not familiar with it, stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It is a form of emotional acupuncture. It's like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual healing. And I will tell you that in the over 30, like at this point in time, I've been working as a healer and a psychic for over 35 years. I've been doing it for a really, really long time. And I will tell you that in all of the healing modalities that I've trained in and all of the healing modalities I've experienced, all these things, there are many things that I have found to be wonderful and effective, but nothing as efficient, as elegant, and as effective as EFT. And if you want to find a tool that will allow you to heal trauma, that will allow you to release triggers that are getting in your way, that will allow you to not only address stuff that's going on in this life, but past life memories, as well as ancestral stuff that you're carrying forward, legacies that have been going on for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, I gotta say, EFT is the bomb. And part of why it's so effective is because it is about following the thread of our own energy system and listening to the truth of what's going on for us, ourselves, and holding space for our feelings, for our emotions, and learning how to, and discovering, for one thing, that we can hold emotions without them completely canceling everything out, without us completely just getting lost in the despair, lost in the stress. it's a way of really learning how to navigate this. And often what happens is we move through and start to experience the world in an entirely different way. So it sort of takes us, people have been talking a lot about how right now we're kind of in this ascension period where we're starting to move out of this sort of like 3D, 4D reality and into the fifth dimension. And part of what is happening is that we are moving out of this earth plane, science versus spirituality, man versus woman, a living versus dead, like all these sort of like black and white thinking, either or thinking, to starting to have the experience of like recognizing a much larger, more inclusive way of seeing the world where things can be both and. So Monday we worked together on duality and collapsing duality. And the amazing thing that happened within this was that instead of it being like one side, the good positive side got to stay and the bad side got washed away, what was really amazing was that it got to be like, what if it's really okay to be scared and to be faithful at the same time? Like, what if my faith is big enough to hold my fear? What if I can approach the challenging emotions with love and compassion instead of trying to beat them up as if they're like a fussy toddler, instead of like picking them up and saying, oh, it's okay, honey, let's go take a nap, like beating the toddler for being cranky. Like, what if we can hold that space? So Monday we did that work. And if you go over to empathicmastery.com/masterclass, you can go catch the replay now and you can work through this in real, like not in real time because it's obviously recording, but you can go and you can work through this with me so that you can really just like dig in, dive in and do the work. And then on Tuesday, we did an activation meditation exercise where we worked with the 222 portal and we activated our own inner light. We connected to our divine source. We connected to our divine self. And we really let ourselves breathe into our light and then step through the 2022 portal so that we were able to really step through into this amazingly, amazingly powerful, powerful space. And from that, and I've been having conversations with people about like the shifts that they are noticing having gone through the 222 portal. Even interestingly, one of my clients did not directly or actively participate in the circle, but she, as we talked earlier today, it was like her experiences over the last couple of days correlate directly with the work that I've been doing and that a lot of other people have been doing. So if you jump over to empathicmastery.com/masterclass, then you can go and you can participate in both the collapsing duality to prepare us for the 222 portal, and then you can go and do the meditation that allows you to step through the portal. Now, the thing is that, yes, it would have been nice to be there on 222 on Tuesday, but the thing is, time is an illusion that exists on this plane. We exist beyond time. We exist outside of it. And the container that is there is, whether you do it now or you do it tomorrow or you do it a week from now, you're still going to get the benefit of being part of that container, because this container and these classes exist sort of outside of time and space. So I wanted to sort of jump on. I wanted to, for one thing, just call out the elephant in the middle of the room and say, hey there, like definitely acknowledging like what wild times we are in. Absolutely, no coincidence that we are like we went through the 222 portal and then bam, Putin invaded the Ukraine. So just really wanting to acknowledge that, but also I just really wanted to jump on right now and really invite really invite you to remember what you are, to remember who you are, to remember why you are here, and to join me and join all of the other people who are deeply, deeply committed right now to doing our work, to healing our fear, to healing our distress, and to healing the legacies of wounds and reactivity that have been going on for thousands of years that as human beings we can no longer afford to hold on to. So that's what I got for now. Please jump over to empathicmastery.com/masterclass to join us. And in the meantime, keep breathing, keep drinking lots of water, or if you haven't already done it, go outside, get your feet on the ground, look up at the sky, reach out to somebody that you love and let them know you love them. Ask for a hug, hug your pet, hug your cat, hug your dog, hug a loved one, make a connection, eat good food. Like, try not to eat total junk. I will be full disclosure, I had potato chips earlier today because, so it's like, do your best. But just really, really, right now is an incredible opportunity for us to do the work and to stay calm, to keep breathing. If you pray, then I really invite you to, work with your prayer practice, but just be the light that you are here on this, that you were born to be. We need your light right now more than we've ever needed before. And we need all of us, all hands on deck, to be anchors for peace, for love, for calm, for healing. And we need to be resonating, like vibrating beacons for regulated nervous systems in a time where there are a lot of nervous systems that are getting really, really thrown out of balance because of all the stuff that is going on right now. So that's everything I got for you right now. I really hope to see you over in the Empathic Mastery Facebook group, and I can't wait for you to join me. We will be having the next masterclass on the full moon in March, and it's going to be all about recognizing, like, how do we deal with divided desire and divided, like, the places where we have conflicting will. So I will catch you later. I'm sending you all kinds of love. Peace.